Yeah.
To me, everything seems to be moving a certain direction. We have no choice.
We are riding the waves for sure. Have you pulled up okay?
Yeah.
You crashed a little bit a few days ago.
I was crashing for the last few weeks. Yeah, I thought I only canceled one day and then the early one yesterday. And yeah, I feel pretty damn good today. I mean, I feel like I've heard a couple of people say they feel like they've come out the other end, at least this phase, but that's what it feels like to me. Is this thing working? Yeah, we got 11 people in the house.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, so it's just been amazing. The connections etherically that are materializing. Like I had a friend call me in the middle, like at 5 a.m. that got a download. We actually did a show yesterday. We were very close, and I've known her for years. And yeah, it was pretty amazing. The intel that she received, and and just the way things are. Like people, telling other people, "Hey, you came in my dreams," and it's like telepathy and intuition are just taking off, right?
Yeah, it sure is. I've always had that in my life to a degree, but it's running all the way through at the moment. Even last night, we had a little bit of a new lockdown party, and I ended up having a lovely, relaxing bath. And my husband came in to say hello, and he left. And I thought, oh, gee, I should have asked him for that hand towel before he walked out. And he's come back in and he said, "Did you ask me for a hand towel?" So, we are really hearing each other's thoughts at the moment. It was really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you've been on the show, I'd say probably 10 times in the time we've known each other. Probably.
Gee,
I know we did it. We did 2 or 3 shows, and then we didn't do any for a few months. I remember that. Then we did. But anyway, what I was going to say is, I was talking to Morgan this morning, and my afternoon, which is now my morning, and her morning. And yeah, she was telling me, because some of these segments, a lot of these segments this month have been about the hero's journey, particularly about the feminine. And so she's like, "Don't forget, this is about the hero's journey." And I thought to myself, wow, I don't remember Fiona ever discussing anything, because we talked mostly about what you do and like current experiences, like the things that you do and apply, like some of the stuff you did, like with the dental office, and just the way you're incorporating holistic or metaphysical into the structure of the matrix, essentially. But I never really thought about it. I don't remember you ever discussing it. I mean, was there? I mean, so many of these people that come on the show, it's the trauma leading to the awakenings, and sometimes successive traumas, and I don't know. I'm just kind of intrigued, because you're so God, I don't know. I like it. A lot of the people, and including myself, I mean, and people have watched me show my ass and change over the years and evolve in 3,000 shows. But I see it in a lot of people that I talk to. But you always seem to be very grounded and very human, but also very connected. So I'd love to hear whatever you have to say today. I mean, it's about you. It's not about me.
Cool.
But I'm glad to have you here. I always enjoy, and I can't wait till the day that I'm in Australia and I can meet all my friends over there.
Yeah, we can't wait to have you here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been lucky enough. I mean, we've chatted. I don't know. I probably stumbled across you close to the beginning of Soulogy, and I don't know. I think we've maybe only had 4 or 5 shows together, but like this, I feel like we've known each other for 50 years. But I suppose I haven't really gone into a lot of the backstory of myself, because we have spoken, as you say, about the work that I do, and a little bit of history comes out in that story. But when Morgan was reaching out for women to do these talks, I kind of said, look, if you need more people, I'm happy to have a conversation. But if you've got enough, I've shared, plenty of time with you as well. And she said, no, come on. But it's about that journey. It's not about what we're doing now and about being the human. And funnily enough, if I digress for a moment, because today, as we said, I really also woke up feeling like I'd come through another funnel. It's another new day. And I sometimes will find some inspiration for the day to shape my day.
Yeah.
And I have a little book, Wisdom for Life, and just flick through to the page that feels right at the time. And if I can just read for a second what came up today, because it's very cool, we're talking about the oneness, the universal mind and all of us being one and a fractal part of that oneness. And this page that came up today, it's only a couple of lines, but the thought for today is, I'm done with great things and big plans, great institutions and big success. I am for those tiny, invisible, loving human forces that work from individual to individual, creeping through the crannies of the world like so many rootlets, or like the capillary oozing of water, which, if given time, will rend the hardest moments of pride. And that, to me, has sent me in shivers for today, because it just ties in so much of what I've been going through in this most latest shift as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, I know we're going to get into your story, but what are you referring to specifically? Like, what has it been like?
Well, as I always kind of say, I just let the universe breathe me. And, we've gone through this period of huge contraction. And now this morning, waking up, it's like coming out the other side of the funnel. So, personally, we've had all the things everybody else has had in the world, decisions to make, trying to work out how to get through what's going on at the moment. But it's funny, because we've had the Lion's Gate, we've had a lot of the masculine and feminine playing out. And in my own house and my own heart and my own life, we've had the complete 0 point and reversal of masculine and feminine. And it's been a crazy process, because my husband is now working part-time, studying to be a nurse and caring for the children and cooking for us. And I'm now back out taking my work underground in a different industry. I've gone back to insurance and finance to earn money, to pay the mortgage, to quieten the man and put braces on the children's teeth and all that sort of stuff. So we've had the polar flip, and we've consciously made that decision, but we're playing it out energetically. And it is beautiful, where it came to a point of culmination where my husband and I just really felt each other.
Yeah.
The past, the present, and the future. I felt that the contraction that he's had all of his life, having that pressure to support us, and my freedom, and we felt that meld and then pull apart again, and we're on different sides of the coin. So
wow, that's a really powerful. I know it's a physical experience and interaction, but just the words that the genders have flipped, in a sense. It's obviously more than that. I mean, but yeah, that really resonates. So many of the things that we experience and receive, they're metaphoric, but they're always energetic. And that's one of the things in the last few weeks that kind of culminated, like you said, it kind of culminated here now, which has been, like, for instance, I got a download, and it was basically metaphorically showing by the poles, and how the poles had flipped, which to me is exactly the same thing. Even like Morgan and I, we got a download, she goes down there, yet somehow we're connected and even stronger, but they flipped. I can't really explain it. That's not my bailiwick, but yeah, I feel that. And then I saw a post by the incredible Judith Kuzel, and even when she was on the show, I believe she might've been on the show on 8, but she said, in her infinite wisdom, in her post, she was talking about how the masculine and the feminine on 8/8 this year, and we're talking energy, And of course, you and your husband are physical representation of that. Thank you for sharing that. But that they had actually finally that point had been reached. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah,
yeah, thanks
I
for
really
sharing.
felt that too. The 8th of the 8th is very always special for me. That was my father's birthday.
Oh, wow.
And the funny thing is, my birthday is on the 8th of January. He ran away from a violent household to join the Merchant Navy when he was 14, and he forged his birth papers. So he was old enough to join, and he made his birthday the 8th of January. So there's always been a real, again, playing out between myself and my father's energy with that. So that's really sweet.
There's no mistakes.
No,
There's no
that's right.
mistakes.
It was really funny.
And I got to take my hat off to your father, because that's some big etheric balls right there at 14 years old to go out into the what an exciting adventure I bet he had.
Oh my God. This man, he was such a structure of support and fun and just so much knowledge for me. He was on the whaling ships for a while too. He was, going through the real dark night of the soul for 6 months up in, north in the ice, chasing whales, and he just read poetry books. He could recite poetry for hours.
Wow.
Over a bottle of whiskey, at a party. So yeah, he's a good man. If you've ever read the book Trinity by Leon Uris, he's a wonderful writer, and the main character Connor in that book I see as my father. It was very similar. So
what's that book called?
It's called Trinity.
Wow.
So Leon Uris, he wrote a lot of books, and they were like long family generational sagas, but that particular one was about Connor, an Irishman, running away from Ireland, and it was nearly the same story as my dad. It was quite funny. Wow. And he's written one as well, Exodus, about Jewish people, and another one about the Chinese, I believe. Great writer.
How do you spell his last name?
Uris.
Okay, Uris. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, Leon, so if you like a good novel, tuck into Trinity. That's really good.
Yeah, I like the name of that, because that really is where we're at now. The Trinity energies, the thought, word, action, serving myself, my sister, and others, and the universe in equal measure. That to me pretty much exemplifies the Trinity energy.
Yeah, it is everything. Wow. So, as far as my story is concerned, I suppose my dad is a big part of it. I had a wonderful mother and father. They've both passed away now. Youngest of 5 kids. I was an accident. There were 3 eldest. They were born over in Scotland, or one brother conceived just before they came over. And then I have a sister 3 years older than me. She was the first accident. I was the second one 3 years later. So we were the Australian children.
Oh, wow. I'm curious. Your parents, obviously, they're from Scotland. I would imagine they'd have a pretty good Scottish accent. That's a very specific.
Yeah, my mum was from Ardrossan, Ayrshire, and my father was from County Drung in Northern Ireland.
Oh, Northern Ireland. That's a powerful place. And just like with the 5 kids, I just sitting here wondering, like, I wonder what their accents. You're obviously very Australian. Like the eldest one, does the oldest one have a kind of a Scottish? No.
Well, so Patricia, she was probably 5 when they immigrated over. They were 10-pound migrants to Australia. And she always, maybe she was 6, because she remembers going to school, and all the kids would tell her, speak Scottish, and she'd be saying, "Oh, I am, can't you understand me?" And as time, her accent has left. Mum and Dad always had a strong one, and my friends would, when they wanted to ring me up, they'd say, "Don't answer the phone. We want to hear your mum and dad talk." So, it's always fun to put on the accent, and growing up with it, I do slip into Scottish slang and things like that you grew up with. So, I was riding bikes or with my son, and I said, "Come on, we'll get out of the way of these 2 young lasses coming up." And he's turned around and he said to the girls, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Excuse my mum. She speaks Scottish sometimes." Fun to play with. But the growing up with them was very funny. They were very safe migrants coming to Australia with a lot of support at the time. They stayed in migrant hostels. Dad worked 3 jobs trying to, set them up in the country and try and earn money to do the best for the kids and send them off to Catholic school, that sort of thing. So my main memories, I don't remember the eldest 3 being at home because of the 10, 13-year gap between us. So I mainly remember my sister and I growing up. Wow. But as you say, with a lot of these hero journeys, they do have trauma in the past, and mine was of a sexual assault nature with a great uncle kind of thing in the family. So, it's a standard kind of story and repeated kind of things by a trusted family member. Started before memories kick in, really. Wow. Funny, when I was doing my kinesiology training and courses, one of my first big balances it brought up this particular trauma. And through the healing, I didn't need my glasses anymore. I think I told you about this. And it came up with an emotion of being violated at the age of 2 and closing the eyes down and not wanting to see. So after that balance, I actually didn't need my glasses again for a few years. I'm wearing them again now because, funnily enough, I've been triggered by something with my own child. And it's funny how metaphysically it shuts down so quickly again. So,
wow, that's pretty deep though. Like 2 years old and closing the eyes. Wow, that says a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny with the sort of work that we do, metaphysically it sounds silly, you don't want to see what's in front of you. So the eyes, the physical body does what it's told. So anyway, that's just a lot of times we think of you see examples of, the physical manifestation of a metaphysical or energetic, something in the root of that, right? And it comes up in an illness, but to hear, I close my eyes and then your vision's affected and so on. That's pretty powerful. I mean, that's like really deep. Yeah. And this is how just amazing we are. So, I caught a little bit of somebody else's talk that you did during the week. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was because I haven't had a lot of time. I've flipped on and off for just a couple of minutes here and there. But it was someone who said the trauma that they went through, it was like there was a superpower there to protect them, to help them with it. And it was so true. Mine was I could actually hear people's thoughts. So I could hear people's thoughts, what was going on. So I knew when to run and hide. It's like I had a heads up. I can hear what they're saying, but I could hear what they were thinking as well. So that was my ticket out of there. And it was just interesting that a lot of people in this kind of environment that do have particular sensory heightened abilities, it's come up through something like that to help protect them.
Some people talk about the disassociation. I know Morgan's talked about it because it's a similar story with her. And the disassociation, almost like leaving the body, and one of the results of that or effects of that is the connection to infinite intelligence or the aspects or whatever, higher self or whatever you want to call it, that gets basically evolved through this more constant and consistent heartfelt connection, I guess. And a lot of I think that's the reason a lot of those people like you and her have the abilities you have. Yeah, so it's a perfect design. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree, and I also you do in heightened periods of trauma like that and repeated too. You do leave your body, so to speak. You can, and once you realize you can do that when you need to, and it does open you up to the aspect that this consciousness is not particularly attached to this physical, and there is safety in numbers. You go back to the oneness, and you do feel held. And you can look at the bigger picture. You're not down here as the little human thinking, why is this happening? What did I do to deserve it? You can rise up into that safety of the oneness. And a lot of people, even if it's like a car accident trauma or something like that, will leave their body. And, when you go through something like this as a child or growing up, or any trauma, with your psyche, you then become more risky. You seek out risky behavior because you're trying to calm the sensory part of the trauma, I suppose. There's a lot of psychological reasons. So people continue to live their life of trauma because of that.
That certainly rings true. I've never really thought about that, but I've often wondered if, like, I just maybe 10 days ago, I remember having kind of that conversation, human to higher self, and my higher self was saying, we have, like, because I'm like, Todd's here and you're there. This is Todd as I understand it, and I kind of got the message that that there is a uniformity to a degree in terms of the personality or the characteristic of the soul to the human, which is that kind of like thrill seeking kind of thing, but I overdid it a lot. So listening to you now makes me wonder if there's some, because there's no coincidence to the sequential aspect of what's happening now. Like, I wonder if something's going to pop in, and I'll keep you posted. Like if something comes up, because that really resonates. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, just, you look back, and I had a beautiful family, and I look back at what I've done in my life and thought, oh, God, I was angry. I was rebellious. I ruined myself. I ruined others. Why? And through studying psychology and things like that, I've come to that understanding that it is a response. It's a sensory thing. You're seeking heightened sensory experiences because our nervous system isn't working correctly because of that trauma held in the body. And when we have trauma in the body, we're continually attracting it as well. So after having trauma as a child, my sister and I kind of came out when I was about 15, because this particular uncle, like, he would have to come and look after us times in my life. My mum went back to Scotland to visit the family, so my aunt and uncle came to look after us. So I broke out in hives, and Mum said, oh, God, Fiona's worried she's going to miss me. But it was no, because I knew what I was going to be suffering while she was in Scotland for a month. So
how old were you? How old were you at this time? When this?
I don't know, maybe 8 when Mum went to Scotland, 7 or 8.
Okay.
And, as I got bigger, I was able to push the man away. And truth be told, this man, he was the favourite uncle of my brothers and sisters. He was a lovely man. He had a stroke. So his sensory pleasure was confused in his mind and his body. And my sister and I perhaps were in the way, and a few others in the family.
Wow.
So by having an adult's perspective on what happened as a child, I can forgive him and say I love him, even though, I was very frightened and hiding for a lot of my childhood from him.
Wow.
But from then, when it comes out in the open and the family goes, no, that's terrible, we can't believe that you suffered through that silently, you've got to go to counselling. You go to counselling and you talk about it, and it's like it's wiring it harder and harder into the body. And then, counselling and psychology is a lot different than it was in the 80s perhaps, but straight away they say, well, you're broken, you're a victim of trauma, and you will probably never operate the same. And with particularly sexual trauma, you can go one of either way. You can become very prudish and non-sexual, or you can become overly sexual. And unfortunately, I probably went the other way and made a mess of my life. But, again, trying to dull the senses, drugs and alcohol and boy crazy, I was angry.
Yeah.
Angry. And it's funny, through my exploration of other substances, it was probably one of my first psychedelic experiences that I'd had that kind of took me back through the timeline of that trauma. And, anyone that's experienced that sort of thing, it's an acceleration to that feeling of oneness and how everything's kind of connected. But it really brought me into that aspect of what is held inside is projected and then attracted towards you.
Wait, let's restate that. That's powerful. What's held inside of you is what you attract. Yeah, like, so going back to what did you say? The high. You said it a minute ago, like the peaked experience or the peaked energetic, of the trauma, and then seeking it, which looks like it's different, but it's really the same. Yeah, I got it.
Exactly the same. That's right. So as soon as you kind of walk away with that label of being broken and a victim, I'm holding that. So anyone that wants a victim is going to be magnetically attracted to that as well. When you deal with that, you can then shift to becoming a survivor. So I went through, the next 10 years of my life being a survivor, which then still brought the advances and plenty of opportunities of rape and misfortune and violent relationships in my life as well. Until I flipped the script a second time. So, as a teenager, being told all this stuff that you're broken, you'll never live a happy life or have a normal relationship because of that sort of stuff. So with that first psychedelic experience, there was a real moment of fuck you, soul. Like, there was grieving for me for actually leaving the soul and the spirit and coming to this earth. I had to grieve for my spirit left behind and walk forward in this physical body. There was a real moment of that interaction, of a real confrontation. Why the fuck did I come here to suffer this, And then there was that moment of, sweetheart, you're not suffering, you're living. This is the rainbow of experience that you've come here to ride. You're not here to sit under a tree and daydream. You're feeling every circuit in this body. And this is what it's about, feeling every circuit in this body. But, I suppose I wanted to experience a bit more. So after becoming a victim and moving on to this survivor and screw you world and everyone in it, lots of alcohol, lots of drugs. I was at the most successful part of my life, probably on the outside. I was high flying in a corporate world and doing whatever the hell I liked, really.
Right.
I stumbled into a violent alcoholic relationship through that as well. And that kind of played out for a few years. I knew it was the wrong thing when I'd walked into it. But another part of trauma response is the fawn response. So, you hear of the fright, flight, freeze response. And there's actually a fourth one being a fawn response, which is...
A what?
Fawn, as in a baby deer.
Fawn, okay.
And you're fawning after people to make sure they're happy and everything's calm and there's no problems and there's no anger and there's no danger. So I've lived my life making sure everyone's happy and everyone's calm and there's no danger for me, so I can do whatever the hell I like. So you become quite subservient that way. So, I suppose tolerated a violent relationship too long. I was still in the real anger and alcoholism as well. And, I could see this particular partner of mine hurting so hard, and I knew why he was, how he was, but thought I could save him, I suppose. My mum always said, line 10 blokes up in business suits and put a loser on the end, Fiona, and take the loser home and try and save him. And not to say anyone's a loser. We all have our story.
No, I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So, he was a good guy, but both going through our own traumas and altercations, things end up violently. And again, I was in a position of hiding. and ending up in hospital and, you know, hiding why I had a broken nose or a black eye and this sort of thing because of that pride, you know. That's the ego, the mask. The mask actually means ego and personality. You know, that was always strong and solid to the outside world, so I felt safe. You know, they're all under control out there, so I can fall apart on the inside. It's forever that playing out. So anyway, by the time I'd realised, look, I can't save this man. He's only going to kill me as well as himself. And made the moves to leave him. I mean, that's very difficult too in a domestic violent relationship. People always say, you know, why the hell didn't you leave? So you can leave, but you need a really good support network to do so. And there's not enough women's shelters in the world for women to go to. And when you're really trying to protect yourself and your pride, it's hard to fall on your knees in front of family. But I'm lucky. I have a beautiful family, and I did use them for support, and left and got my own house. And the poor guy ended up, apologies for any trigger warnings here, but ended up hanging himself on my back doorstep as his last screw you too.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot to work through on that as well. Obviously, I was lucky that we had a lot of open discussions about his life, my life, life in general, the fact that neither of us really wanted to be here. You know, I'd written a couple of notes myself. I'd taken the pills myself when I was 15 and tried to get out of here because I'd left my body as a child. I knew that it was fine. The hardest part is to stay. And in later years, again, tried to take my own life, and the rope broke. So there was something there. There was a little weld that made the rope broke that saved me and kept me going in this life. But unfortunately for him, he did manage to take his own life, and I've had him visit me since, through different sessions and on my own. And, you know, he didn't actually mean, he hoped he would be saved too, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And he didn't realise what it would be like when he passed. He thought it would all be black, everything would be over. And I reached for that because I'd left my body so many times before. I knew it wasn't like that. And it was comfort to me. But everybody's different, and his comfort in that trauma was blackness, and that's not what he got, unfortunately. So it's funny, again, with one of my training sessions, you're always getting work done on you when you're learning different modalities. And one particular session, someone I was being trained with, she was a masseur and she was very psychic. She'd bring in souls as well. And my teacher, she was trained in a lot of different other modalities. So again, coming back to that trilogy, it took the three of us in the one moment, the one time and space for Robert to come through. This was the gentleman who'd took his own life.
Yeah.
And we were doing a balance on something that was irrelevant. It was actually a forgiveness of God balance or something like that. I had to forgive God because I was very angry at him at particular stages in my life. But as I say, all of a sudden, whoosh, there's this dense black energy that just rushed right in next to me. And it was, you could feel it, see it, sense it, smell it. And it just whoosh, came straight down like it sat on my shoulder. And the woman working on me went, fuck, there's someone here, Fee. We'll just call our trainer over. So we've called her over, and I'm a little bit out of it at this stage. And the trainer's just said, look, this isn't kinesiology. Everyone off you go for morning tea. Everyone out of the room. And just worked on me alone when everybody else had left. So this was Robert coming through. He'd been wandering around the ethereal plane, apparently, looking for some solace. And just at the right moment, apparently, the three of us there created a beam of light like a moth to the flame. He came, this is my ticket out of here. He said, Fee, I need you to tell me that, you know, you forgive me. I love you. My mother, of all people, came in as well. So this particular trainer said, your mother's here as well. She's come in. And I said, it couldn't be. She hated him. You know, he broke her daughter. I said, no, your mother is here as well. And your mother is here to take him back to source. Wow. And it was one of those experiences that completely brought me to my knees. You know, there was a process that we just quickly went through, and the lightning of the energy in the room and around me was instant. The warmth and the love in the room was enveloping afterwards, and it was absolutely beautiful. But it was mind-shattering to me. You know, I see energy. In times of my life, I've heard people's thoughts, but to have all of that come in such a moment, it was mind-boggling. I'll go back to this in a moment, but for many years I turned off the ability to hear people's thoughts. After that experience, it's right back quite solid.
How long ago was
we
that?
actually had this training course was in a little room under the altar in the chapel where my mum and I used to go to church. It was at the Catholic school I went to school with. So, you know, 35 years later, in the room under the altar of the chapel I sat and sung in with my mother, she has taken this lost soul to his grace. And I went outside and I fell to my knees and just, you know, sobbed in awe of this universe, you know, that love is all empowering. And it was, again, that trilogy, that Trinity energy, it takes the power of three to neutralize.
Wow.
It's funny. I was at a psychic festival maybe a month or so ago, working on people and giving talks. And I had my eye on a particular psychic I'd not met before. And I thought, I'll go over and chat to her. And she said, oh, my God, sit down. You've got the funniest woman above you. So we sat down for a chat. You know, this is before everybody started to come when the festival opened. And all of a sudden she's got Mum there sitting next to me saying, Fiona, you just, you know, dress pretty like you used to. You've been wearing black since I died. And, you know, she was bringing me all these messages, of course, that I needed to hear at the time, which was awfully beautiful. And I said, you know, she'd talked to me for about half an hour, all these things my mum was telling me that, you know, she was, you know, happy with what I was doing with the kids. And she knew that I was having this real struggle, this decision whether to go back to full-time work and leave the children or not. And she said, they want you gone. They're ready for you to go. So go. They need their father. And I've said to this psychic, I've had enough of Mum. She's telling me what to wear, because she always did that. She'd look in my cupboard and say, Fiona, it's full of black. Put some colour in there. And I did. I brought in my feminine and I started to wear all these beautiful things. I have in my life changed between masculine and feminine, whatever energy I'm putting out. So anyway, Mum's telling me now to dress beautiful again. So I thought, no, I've had enough hearing about her. So I've asked this psychic, what about Dad? And she said, well, your dad has just kind of come in. And he said, and you tell Fiona, she never listens to me anyway. And he took off again. And it was exactly as it was growing up, you know. Fiona will never listen to me. And you tell her, you're a mother.
Wow.
So Dad would always leave it to Mum to give me the messages to pull my socks up. And Dad was always the good cop, you know. So they played good cop and bad cop a little bit.
On both sides of the veil.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, Dad, you know, imagine as the father seeing your daughter beat herself up all through her life. Broke his heart. And after Robert had taken his life, my next door neighbour kind of succubused into my life and never left, I welcome someone in like a lost dog and they never leave home again. So this guy became a bit of a partner for a while in my grief and lostness of the suicide. And my father met him and said to me, Fee, there's two energies in this world. There's parasites and there's hosts. You have to work out what you're going to be.
Wow.
Because your heart is a host and you're inviting in parasites.
Your father told you this?
Yeah. And I was still so angry. I was 25. I was still pissed at everything. And I was angry at him for even having the gall to tell me that. The next day, I thanked him dearly because I did look back again through my life and thought he's right. And energetically, you look around the world and it's kind of how life plays out too. You have that interplay of people, but it really brought it home to me that I have to be aware of what I'm giving away to people. And got rid of that parasite. And again, I had to hide to get rid of him. So I've had a real life of having to hide for survival and protection. So I hid out at a friend's place until this bloke left my house because, as I was starting to say before, with the violent relationship, if you don't have anywhere to go for safety, it's really hard to escape. I took him to court. I put AVOs against him so he couldn't come near me, and he'd still break into the house. He'd climb up 2 stories to get in the window to come love me and then hate on me. So it has always been very hard to escape in my life, these experiences. But that last one I hid out at a girlfriend's house until he finally got the picture to go. And then my now husband came into my life, who's, galloped in the white knight and shining armor and took me away and not looked back since.
Wow. Man, I had no idea. Whew. Keep going.
I mean, I could talk for hours, as we all do. We have so many, we all have this history in our life, but of different colours, I suppose. Everyone has a trauma. It's funny, I had a couple come to me yesterday whose son has cancer, and they were just reaching out to see what is possible. And we started talking to them about energy and light and what we do to ourselves, with our thoughts and emotions, and the fact that we impart meaning on every experience in our life. The experience doesn't mean anything until someone puts their own meaning upon it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So
we can have one experience and, everybody in that experience puts their own meaning onto it. As I say, when I look back at my life of trauma, each person that hurt me, I could see why, and I could see in their past what led them to that. And particularly because I had this insight into their thoughts as well, it's easy to forgive and love anyone because of that meaning that we impart on it. So I could impart a meaning to a relationship that they're awful and evil and I was a victim and this sort of stuff, or I could impart that meaning of understanding. I know what kind of got them there. It's not to excuse things, but it definitely helps you, I don't know, be more open to everything in the universe playing out, when we start to react and throw up all these protection belief systems, all of a sudden we're so full of big ideas and beliefs that are so strong we won't let anyone get through them. And then we're only experiencing such a tiny part of life. So I'm really thankful for the trauma that I had, because it showed me what is true in this universe. And it's not this little playing out of bodies and physicality. It's just so much bigger. As when I would hear people's thoughts, this is the first time that I went to take my life. I was so depressed because I thought, this is an awful world, because I would hear what people would say, but their thoughts were awful. If you think about the thoughts that go on in your own head, the thoughts that we have about ourselves and the judgments of others, it sounds awful when you're listening in on that. It sounds really fucking awful. I think, how can people be so unkind to themselves and to others? Because someone could be meeting you with a smile and wanting to do something for you, but then you hear the voices in their head saying, I fucking hate doing this. Why am I stuck doing this for her? And, you know, I'm so busy, and why is my life so shit and led me to this? And I'm terrible because I'm not a good whatever. So I'm hearing these thoughts of people, even as a child, and then hearing lovely words come out their mouth. It's like, oh, this is what is true, you know? So it became so painful to hear these thoughts of others. I just shut it down. As many people say with these talents or skills that we have, we shut them down because they're so painful. I did enjoy seeing energy, because what is included in the space between you and me is trippy and fantastic and amazing. So I love, and I've always loved seeing energy. I've been a photographer. I love playing with light, and I feel comfortable with that. But the hearing of the thoughts, I couldn't do. Until I realized, and I'd done a lot of training in NLP and hypnotism and psychology, and I realized what the hell we do to ourselves with these thoughts. You know, we let our mind be master. Our mind is just out of control, trying to respond to the world. And as a young child, hearing these things, you think, what the hell? Where is the joy in life if people are walking around hating on themselves like that and thinking these thoughts about each other? So now, with the benefit of hindsight and understanding how the human mind works, I'm more happy to tune back into that skill. But this is now my life mission, to tell people, stop abusing yourself in your mind. You know, all those abusive thoughts lead us to abuse substances, people, things, resources, and it's just made up stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
and
crazy.
We're all more psychic than we would ever be led to believe. You know, picking up on other people's thoughts, we all do it. Like 90% of the thoughts in your head are probably not even your own. They're responses to, you know, visual stimulations, picking up on other people's thoughts. It's like that World Wide Web we're tapped into. And this is something I played around with as a kid too. It was really lovely that you said in the beginning that you find me grounded, because I've always felt planted here in this earth, like I'm not allowed to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
But there is that the networks of information available to us. You know, I was a real nature girl. I played outside in the garden with the fairies, and I could put my hands in the dirt and I could hear the world. It's like I could hear stories of people from all over the world just by putting my hands on the dirt. And same when I would tune in to the light of the sky. And this is me playing around as a little girl with, you know, playing with moving things with my mind, leaves and stuff like that. So I could tune into the light and I could hear the voices of the heavens. So I've never particularly aligned with deities as such and worked with a particular personal energy, because to me it's everything. So I might not go to Archangel Michael, or I might not go to Lady Portia or an Ascended Master or something like that. I go to I just call it is, what is. So I would get information from light of people's thoughts all over the world, and I'd put my hands on the dirt and I'd hear stories of the earth and the world.
Wow.
And again, through, just being so hungry for knowledge on how the fuck does this universe work, I have kind of learned about, the fungi system through the earth. And I've now learned about the energetic system through the body. And I can see the matrices in the light and the space between you and me. So to me, it is everything is available to us. We just need to know that and tap into it. So, as I say, by experiencing trauma and having these kind of things amp up in my body, I've been on the best trip ever. I really run with these gifts now, and I play with them and I experiment with them and see really what is possible out there. And just really want to put the message out there to people. Stop beating yourself up, as I said. But you know what? I have found I can't often do it as a practitioner. And we've spoken about this a couple of times, I think, where I go in and out of the healing world, helping people, and then I'll suck back in and I'll do a 3D job for a while. This is where I'm taking my work back underground again, because sometimes in the circles we work within, you're kind of selling stuff to people that already know it. Mm-hmm. I want people to know that they can heal themselves or improve themselves. So I'm stepping back as a practitioner again, but I want to go back into the real world to try and get people to think about these thoughts that are going on in their head. And one of my teachers said something to me, which was so strong, where she said, look, you could not put your hands on anyone else as a client and still change the world if you continue to work on yourself. So this is the next cycle that I'm in for a little while, is I'm going to go back in and I'm going to continue to work on myself so I can be the example for others to rise up. Because when you work that way, you're not telling people things. You can talk at people, talk. It's all words.
Yeah.
When you can hear what's going on in their head, they're not listening.
Yeah.
They're making up their own thoughts, imparting their own meanings as to what you say.
Yeah.
So to me, in this period that my family is in, my children are all coming to the next stage in their life. My husband is, I am as well. The best thing I can do in the world is to continue to work on myself, bring in divinity through the light, anchor it all the way through every circuit in my body, put it into the earth, bring the wisdom of the earth back up into my body, and then be a strong example for everyone around me. And they'll have no choice but to rise up to meet me or drop off.
You just summed it all up perfectly. I mean, you actually just described in the physical experience what the metaphoric of, Morgan often says, being an empath used to be a weakness. Now people are turning it into a strength, which is like your story. It just comes to my mind because you were taking those thoughts in, which you were going to do anyway, but they were taking you down until you've turned it around. And I got to believe that there's a lot of, in particular, women around the world that are doing exactly what you're doing one way or another. And then this thing about, what you talk about with like putting your hands into the dirt and, into the sand and basically that's the Akashic. Like I just picture you like this indigenous Fiona, 10,000 years ago, and that's how we functioned. That's how we got our information. That's how that's just amazing. And again, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. So if it's happening to you, and I'm sitting here on the verge of tears the entire time listening to you because the energy is so revealing. you know.
But
And
can
here's
you feel my joy and my awe?
oh yeah,
in
well the
telling
awe,
this
it's
story?
the awe. The tears aren't, you know, that they're not sadness. It's what you said about the discovery of what's real once you went through the black hole of the trauma. You know, and it's crazy. And I got to say, there's no coincidences, right? I mean, they're just not. And they're becoming more prominent every day. And I just got a message from Morgan, and she's in Gimpy, and she didn't know, she was meeting up with 3 or 4 ladies, and they were going to go somewhere, and she just sent me a message right when you're telling me this, at the height of it, saying, "Oh my God, Todd, I'm at the Gimpy Pyramid." And then I'm listening to you, and as I'm bilocating, I didn't try. I'm just bilocating. So there's something about your story, about your mother and Robert. That's a trinity. There was a trinity formed in the room to pull that person in. Then another trinity was formed, 369. You see what I mean? And now here I'm talking to you. She's at a pyramid. She's with a triad, and then here
that's
we
how
are.
I felt in that chapel, because that altar was above me, and I knew where my mother and I used to stand in that chapel and sing. That's crazy, because I was going to say to you too, through the stories, I have never even spoken to Morgan,
really,
but it seems like we do a lot of similar things. And I just keep thinking, geez, I need to reach out to that woman and message her and set up so I can talk to her like this and have a session or something. Because
y'all should. You probably would both. I
want to go and visit her. I did send her a message saying I'd love to go and visit her up there. But
well, I was going to ask you now. Are you in New South Wales? Or are you in Queensland?
No, I'm in New South Wales, and funny, we've just been shut down again. Yeah, so. I had my daughter, we were roller skating yesterday, and we got the word shut down at 5 o'clock. So we've tried to drive home, and the town's gone stupid. Everyone trying to get to the shops and panicking again. So I quite like the shutdowns, but the unfortunate thing this time is I've just taken on this new job.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll allow me to work from home or not yet, or what the story is, but whatever is.
That's right.
I went back to this 3D job, and I'm doing 2 weeks of it, and I'm thinking, fuck, I haven't done, like, this is insurance underwriting and law and contracts, and I haven't had to think like this for a while. What am I doing? Something come save me. Why can't I just stay at home and do energy scans and balances again? And then all of a sudden, there's a shutdown. You might not have to go to work. So I might spend the next 2 weeks playing with energy. We'll see. So I just shut my calendar down to all my clients. I said, sorry, I can't work. I got to, earn the money to pay the man to buy the braces. And careful what you wish for.
I know.
Because I manifested that job too. It's like, shit, I need a job, and I need $1,000 a week, and voila, there's a job. You've got it.
It's happening. It's really happening. I mean, all these, not all, but I mean, a lot of the catchphrases and the cliches and the statements that we've been saying, a lot of people point to the new age in the 90s, and, and you hear go within, and you hear instant manifestation, but it's actually, all this stuff is actually happening. It's physicalizing.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it's what you talk about. And I saw my friend Terry Willette was saying that she could relate to you, because when she was a kid, she'd go out into the field in the back of her house and play with the fairies and the different creatures, So, I mean, this is all coming in, because I think
go back and see if they're still there.
Right.
I go jogging in the forest, and I'm sure I still see them flitting.
Yeah.
They just say the things that are in this space, just know and believe that they're there. And our body's amazing when we're open to the fact that anything is possible. The opportunities are infinite. You can just play with the focus of your eyes, and you can see things that you'd never think you'd ever see. We need to know the superhuman powers And this is, Todd and Morgan, what you're bringing to the world through Soulogy is you're making this stuff real for people. You know, how many of us or whoever's watching or watching this on the replay, how many of us have sat there going, oh my God, I'm crazy. Am I just an old tripper having a flashback every Monday? Or is this real, you know?
Even a week ago. And then I'm not going to talk about it, but I think of all the things that happened to me since about 5 o'clock this morning. And then I'm sitting here looking at the forest, and when you said that about the focus on the eyes, it just was another of many little positive triggers during this episode. But I remember being out here and talking to this mother tree, and I actually heard, "Don't look at me, look through me." But it didn't mean like look through me, like don't see me. It was like saying you can see more if you don't look at the tree. It's kind of like looking at a human. If you just look at the body, like I tell Morgan, you're beautiful. And she goes, I look like crap today. And I'm like, no, I'm not looking at your body. I'm looking at your essence, your field. And that's what I thought of when you said that, because that's what I was doing. I was sitting there trying to like focus my eyes, or, you know, like, and it works. Yeah. It actually works. Yeah. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Try and, it's tricky. Look from the side of your eyes. Try and see from the peripherals. So you're not focusing from the middle. You're not trying to look, but you're observing from the peripherals, and it just takes your focus. You know, in photography land, you're changing your aperture. So you're focusing on different parts.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've heard other people talk about it. I've experienced it a little bit where you see something, like it's almost like if you look right at it, you won't see it. But if you look a little bit off, like when it, you know, does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got it in one there. Yeah.
Oh man.
And it's all the harder we try and do something, the further away it gets from us. Like with all this life of energy that I've lived, with what I can see and feel and hear, it's just flow. It's just energy reorganizing itself. You know, it's us that put the boundaries on things and the meaning and the labels. Everything is flow. And as soon as we try and see it, capture it, focus on it.
That's right. You can't.
Come on, we're seeing something different than the real truth because
like
we've frozen it.
You're right. It's like trying to hold a slippery eel in your hand.
Yeah.
You know, you can't catch flow. You just flow. And I don't know, am I the only one? Because I have weird things happen on these shows, and you're just like, I'm going to have to go lay down, literally. I'm surprised it's taken me this long. It's taken me about 45 minutes not to burst out in tears, and now it's passed. But is anybody seeing this? I'm going to put you on here. Wait, look. Is anybody seeing what I'm seeing here? And I'm not just talking about the rainbow strands throughout her. What was that? or the orb that just went by. But is everybody seeing? There's another one. Okay, so the rainbow strands, but I'm talking about the light. I've been seeing this light, and I would have to classify it as a golden, white, and sometimes with a rose hue. So it's a golden, rose white light, and it looks a lot like this. Anyway, I just thought I would point it out if I'm the only one that's, okay. Thank you for the confirmation, and here come the tears again. So let's just chill.
Gonna tap some points here.
I just gotta. I mean, this is what you're talking about to me. You know, so many of the downloads I've gotten in the last few weeks in regard to all of us and what we're doing, and the level of penetration and anchoring that's occurring through what you're talking about, which is the reason that Terry and yourself and the Morgans and so many people that have such a strong ability that's still in their memory at a young age, and those things went away because nothing we have been doing in our experience in this paradigm has been engaging that stuff. And the only way that it really comes into more physicality and prominence is when we engage it. which is what you're talking about. And what I love about what you're saying too is going back underground and back into, planting the seeds, because it's so fertile right now, regardless of all the BS and bullshit. There is a solid, obviously, expansion of distortion, but there's also individual souls all around the world that are, keeping pace, in the parallel of that distortion with their own expansion of their soul, and it's just an amazing thing. This is to me, these present moment conversations, be it on here or even just two people talking, this is where the real gold is now. I remember a year and a half ago coming out of waking up one morning after we had an incredible, session, as we would do every night when we were together. And I told Morgan, man, we're going to start seeing like physical beings, like we can touch them, like they're not going to be translucent. And she said, no, what's going to happen is it's going to be us. Yeah. And are you guys seeing this? Are y'all seeing this?
I'm going to have to watch the replay.
Oh my!
I can see. I'll take my glasses off.
And see, you're a photographer, and you see all these pictures the last few years, not only of like what we're looking at. Oh my God, this is like even hard to look at. But I'm not going to say anything. If you don't mind, can we all just look at her? I'm going to. This is while we're all looking.
Oh my God. If I can, anyone here on the call or on the replay, then whilst you're looking, perhaps I'll just send you some love. Bear with me a moment.
Oh my God.
When everyone is in this space of purity, this is when we can choose in the very next moment to be anything we need or want to be in the very next moment.
Oh my God. I have seen a lot in these 3,000 shows, I'm telling you. This is maybe the tops. Maybe.
Bless you all, because I don't know what you're seeing. This is someone saying I can see energy, but I don't know what you're seeing.
Well, what I was going to say is that, and it happened to me, like even when I started Soulogy, I'd take pictures and there'd be all this golden stuff coming off. And there's also people that take pictures around them. And that's always amazed me because it's not a picture of them. So I'm wondering, what is all this, what we're looking at? Like, what is all that? And people say, oh, well, it's a camera. It's not. That's the whole point. If you say it's just a coincidence, well, that's what it will remain. But look at this. This is like freaking me out. You have to go back and see this. And the amazing thing was the sequence of everything, like your story. And then she sends me that message, and all of a sudden I'm standing next to her next to this pyramid while I'm listening to you. And then slowly this light just starts appearing with these rainbow strands, and whatever that is in front of your face, I have no idea. But it's not a camera thing. This is energy physicalizing. And we've experienced this in the last few weeks on this show. And one last example, this lady came on that I met in Sedona, Amanda Smith, who nobody really knew. I just come on my show and she started talking, and it was all this galactic stuff for 30 minutes. And everybody got it. That video has over 12,000 views today, just through word of mouth and energetic connection. And this one, I think, I don't know. This is just like crazy. I mean, it's you go look at it.
I will.
I mean, this
It's
is
funny because I would love people to be able to see what I see in the world, because you would all drop to your knees in awe and amazement. You know, the world isn't about bullshit vaccines and having enough toilet paper. The world is about the miracles of the fractal nature of everything that we are. And, you know, Todd, what you and Morgan are doing with this Soulogy, and over the last 6 months, for me, this play out between the masculine and the feminine, between my birthday and my father's on the 8th of the 8th, is this spiraling of the combination of energies to come together. And as I said, my husband and I are flipping the scripts. And, you know, we need each other, males and females, masculine, feminine, electric, magnetics. It all plays out together like that. And through doing this series of talks, you know, you're making it about the feminine, and this might sound a bit old school or sexist, but Todd, in the masculine, you're providing the safety of the container for the feminine to come out.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the old world, the men were to slay the dragons to protect the women. You know, there's no dragons to slay anymore, but you can build this safe container for the feminine to feel safe enough to come out with these stories, for the masculine to fall in love with and say, I want that too.
Yeah.
You know, I want to tap into the feelings in the body. I want to be an empath. I want to feel.
Yes.
Because that's what the circuits in this human body are for, is to feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the stories. And, you know, I've always said I don't want to tap into the stories, because you're rewriting the past. You're making it more solid in the body. But the stories that you're bringing to the world through these series of shows is this scaffolding of strength for other people to birth that vulnerability out of. Because when we're vulnerable, we're strong, really.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree. And you know, really, it's just that for the most part. Oh my God, it's just for the most part. At this point, and I think you bring up the way you explained that was perfect. I'm going to go back and edit the hell out of this thing and put out some excerpts. But is that right now it mostly shows up in the feminine in physical incarnation. That's just the way it is. It doesn't mean that, you know, when I say this, I'm talking about the feminine in me and in every man and in every person. It's what you said, you know. It's what you said, and I'm really glad that you said that, because I think people do get caught up in the gender thing, but it's not about that. It's just an energetic thing that happens to be represented in the physical, and as time goes on, it will be less appropriated to the female incarnation in the majority. It'll be all of us, and that's what's happening. But I love what you said about, you know, Morgan often says, you witness it in me, and then it happens to you.
Yeah.
And that's what you just said. And that's a really great way to try to understand it. Because it's, for me, it's taken a long time to try to understand some of these things. And I think that's been because of the you know, like the role or the experience that a male incarnate typically has. You know, you're talking about the breadwinner and like your husband and all that, and now you can see the load removed. And yeah, so this is like this is amazing.
Mm.
There's a man with an elemental energy in her room. That's our friend Juliet, who's amazing. Yeah. So, yeah. Wow, this is like just people.
Cool. It's funny, I've had to buy software to do this shit. I've got, excuse my language.
Yeah, don't excuse it.
I've got software that I run. It's on my website. You can run pictures through, and it will show you the difference in the light around you. So there's pictures on there of me normal, me channeling healing energy, me channeling divine energy, and the light around you changes in these images. You can also see the meridians and chakras and things like that too. But
really?
Yeah, it's really cool to play with. So I put my husband and on the website and asked him, just be normal. And I took a photo. And then I said, think of something calm, think of something excited, and took a photo. He didn't move. We didn't change anything in the room. And you can see the light around him in these photos change with each one. It's really cool.
Wow. Well, I don't think you don't evidently don't need any software.
You are the software.
No, has anyone noticed? I noticed this at the beginning, and that took on more meaning, especially with that pyramid message. She's sitting under a pyramid. You're it's you the whole time you've been perfectly in the middle of it.
This is my bookcase.
We can't even see through the rainbow. What are you talking about? It's just gotten bigger. So, wow, I'm just so blown away. This is so powerful. And
I was going to message you this morning, Todd, and say maybe we can do it later because
I was too.
I slept in and I had a whiskey last night, and
I was too. I sent you the note, and I didn't want to say no, but I was like, but I mentioned it to Morgan, and she was going to go meet her friends, and she was. I said, I don't know, if I'm up to this. No, she's going to tell her story, and I'm like, oh, that's right, I never heard her story. So this is it. This is the real deal. Wow.
One thing I forgot to say in my story is I've lived most of my life on roller skates. There you go.
Yeah. There you go. Oh my God, this is
I'm more comfortable on roller skates than on feet.
You need to go watch or at least the last 20, because it slowly came in. It was very, very gradual, and then it just went boom. And I really took note because I saw an ankh in front of an ankh or whatever you call them. So you have these things behind you, and your head is in front of them, so they remain back there, right? But there was something in front of you that I kept seeing. It was an ankh, but it was in front of your head. So when you were moving, it would be here, right? So I don't know.
Ankh, as in the Egyptian ankh?
Yeah. Yeah, I probably said it wrong. My bad Texas accent, But,
no way. That's so funny. I've been working with, it's a little bit personal. No one's listening, are they? I've been working with cycling the sexual energy in the ankh. It's an old Egyptian technique. So you can rise the sexual energy up to the heart chakra.
Yeah.
Stop breathing, bring it out the back of the heart chakra, around the top, back into the heart chakra, and bang, it's amplified. So play with your ankh.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's coming online too as the sexual, what we call, which is a misnomer, sexual energy. Let's change it to, let's say, sacred sexual energy. But I think what we're coming into, based on some of the stuff I'm picking up from what Morgan's experiencing and what you just said, which you're obviously doing at the same time, something similar in the role that offers in terms of manifestation with golden particles. I mean, this is how the pyramids were made. This is how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking, and so I put up a post. I just happened to notice it. I put up a lot of posts in Soulogy, and I happened to notice it. I saw a notification that said 500 people attached to it. So which one was that? And I looked at it, and it was a post that I had just forwarded, and shared. And it said, people with powerful sexual energy have the potential to be powerful healers. And I noticed some of the comments were kind of stuck on the semantics or, general perception of just the term sexual energy. In other words, how it can be distorted and so on. But I was talking about what you're talking about and what Morgan's been talking about, or what seems to be coming on board with the sexual energy, the sacred sexual energy as being the physical kind of thoroughfare of new creation, and again, I think this is we're on the cusp of this kind of thing. So
yeah, well, it is creative energy, isn't it? You know, that the sexual energy starts it all. And, you know, at that point of conception, there is a burst of light, I believe, as the calcium ignites or something like that chemically.
Yeah.
And light is everything. You know, it's funny, we're talking about light. Light is everything to me. Light is energy with information in it.
That's
and
right.
You know how I truly believe we can talk is psychically, is by tuning into that light. You know, like is it jellyfish that all luminesce at the same time?
Yeah.
With bioluminescence, and you'll see a squad of them and they'll all ripple light through themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe this is how we can talk. Tune into the luminescence or the light of each other, and we don't need words.
Well, all you got to do is take a screenshot of this and you could sit down and do it. You're going to be amazed. But
cool.
So I really I don't know what to say, but just thank you. And I really don't know what else to say, but I really am at a loss for words, but I'm definitely going to have to go lay down and take this in, because it's been a powerful, far beyond what I even know. And I think what any of us know. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know what to say.
Miracles happen to show everyone what's possible.
Exactly. And that's it. I think you said that earlier. You're talking about how we're talking about yourself or other people. It's not the words, it's not the instruction. It's what you talked about, going back into underground, working on yourself and being that tuning fork, basically. And they either elevate, and that's not a judgment. It's just a reality. They either match or they fall away, and then find their own, like begets like, their own soul family or whatever monad or whatever you want to call it. But, so enjoy your day over there, and thank you so much for being so open and providing this experience. And I wish you the best for your family and yourself and whatever you're jumping into. And I look forward to the next time.
Thank you.
She's disappeared now.
Bless you all. Thank you, Todd.
Yes,
as
thank
always.
you. I'll see you later. And like I said, I look forward to the next time. I'm just going to need some time to integrate this one.
Okay. Go and have a Bex and a good lie down, love.
There you go. Take care.
Peace, love, and mung beans, then.